Hello, our viewers, and welcome to Phancy Talk Show. I know it's been a minute, but we are again here today with an amazing guest. I would like him to say hi and introduce himself. Karibuni sana.
Hello, guys. All of you who are fans of the Phancy Talk Show, I'd like to welcome you to this particular session. I'm very proud because today I feel like a father witnessing a graduation of his daughter, because right here, my host has been and still is my mentee. She's gone through a program that I run called the Born to Lead Academy of Personal Development that helps people become the best versions of themselves. My name is Coach Stephen Muiru, and I like saying I'm an architect of buildings by profession and an architect of people's mindsets by passion and practice. Karibuni.
Thank you very much, Coach. And as we delve to the session, we would like to talk about finishing the year stronger. I know most of the times we set goals in the beginning of every year, but sometimes some achieve, some do not achieve. And there are those who are feeling, yes, I made it, and there are those who are feeling, I didn't go through what I planned. What can we first say about finishing the year stronger?
Wow. Allow me to give you a story, then I get into that question. And this is a story about a guy called John Stephen Akwari. John Stephen Akwari is a legend in Tanzania. In the year 1968, he participated in the Olympics in Mexico, and he went there to participate in the marathon. And in so much as he was not one of the elite expected to win a medal, he still believed in himself to compete favorably with everybody else. But halfway through the marathon, something crazy happened. There was an accident. People collided and there was a pile-up. I'm sure you've seen situations where there's a stampede in races. And a lot of people were injured. He happened to be one of them. And paramedics who were on call to just take care of such emergencies, when they looked at his injuries, they were telling him, boss, let's take you to hospital. You are so injured, you're bleeding. A guy looked at them and said, no, I still feel strong. Do whatever patch up you can do on me, at least to enable me to continue. Like, really? He said, yes. So anyway, they did that and he continued. But before he could even get to the finishing line, he developed muscle cramps, which are very painful. If you've ever done any sport, you know muscle cramps can really discourage anyone because they're usually very painful. And a lot of people would pull out. But he didn't. He did first aid on himself and still continued. Guess what? An hour after the medal award ceremony, the people who had finished, they had been given their medals, and spectators had gone home. An hour later, the guy walks into that stadium. And during that time, to finish, you needed to go into the stadium and then do one more lap. After you've done the road, you come and do one more lap so that you get to the finishing line. So he was there hobbling, you know. And there were a few journalists and a few organizers who were still there winding up. And they ran up to this guy and they asked him, hey, boss, with all the injuries, with all what you have gone through, why didn't you just give up like very many people? And John Stephen Akwari said something that really addresses what you've asked me. He told them, my country did not send me 5,000 miles to come and just start the race. They sent me 5,000 miles to come and finish. Wow. And that is why I have done it. And every time I think about that story, it tells me to finish anything strong, you've got to go back to why you started it. Because if you have a very strong why, then it becomes the fuel you need to continue, even when you feel like giving up. So it's important for everyone to understand, why did I begin it? Why did I start? What was the reason? What was the purpose? That should fuel you to finish strong. So ask yourself why God allowed you to be here in 2024. why you are still alive. If you had set any goals, if you felt along the way you become discouraged, think of the reason why you set them. And you will find the necessary motivation to finish this year on a high.
Wow. Wow. What I'm picking from that story of John is that sometimes we may be forced to change our timelines because of the challenges, but we still have to get there.
Very true. And not just change timelines, it's also an understanding that in this life, you may start with others, but we are not endowed the same. Circumstances will change. So you'll find some may finish ahead of you, others may fall by the wayside. But as long as you're in the race, just continue, because the race is yours. You are not in competition with anybody. Your timeline is different from other people's timeline. Just like you are born alone and you will die alone, so should your race be. It's an individual race. Life is personal. So don't get discouraged by what others have achieved, what others are doing. That's them. Focus on your own race. Focus on what you're doing. That's what is important. That's what will see you past the line on your own terms, not on other people's terms. You know, I'm a mountaineer. I go to the mountains a lot. And one of the reasons I go to the mountains is basically to stretch myself, stretch my mental strength, my physical strength, my spiritual strength, to just see how far I can go. And I started with small mountains like Kilimambogo. You know, the students before they graduate,
sure.
they have to do that. You did that.
I did that myself.
But at some point I realized Kilimambogo now is too small, because once you overcome a certain challenge, you want to set higher challenges to see how far you can go. And the last 2 years, I have gone to the summit of Kilimanjaro. That's the roof of Africa. And when I'm going there, one of the things I've noticed is that you get to a point where the physical strength is completely drained. And you got to rely on stronger power. You got to rely on strength that now is not just your body. And what I've known is that you can draw on He who created you. You can draw on your spiritual strength. And that will push you through things that physically you may not be able to. So there may be somebody watching this show and feeling they are drained in all ways. I want to encourage them and tell them there is still a reserve power you have not drawn from. That is a spiritual power. That is God. Just keep telling God to give you the strength. As we have been promised in Ephesians 3:20, He is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can think or imagine, according to the power that He has already put in us. So He's put that power in you. And when you call upon Him, you know He's going to activate that power and you're going to make it. So don't be discouraged. It's never over until it's over.
Wow. Great. And as you were explaining that, I'm just thinking of what is going around the society. Depression has become a real menace in our society because, and especially among the young people, we don't have resilience. So I think in our journey, we are reaching a point, our why is no longer strong. And we make, selfish decisions of maybe taking our lives away. So what would you tell somebody at the verge of losing hope on why they started? They are not where they imagined they will be, and now they are feeling like completely I've lost it.
Well, good question, Phancy. As we said earlier, we are all on different races. When you talk about depression, one of the major causes of depression is comparison. You are comparing yourself with somebody else. I may be looking, if I was a lady, looking at Phancy's beautiful dress, and I'm like, God, why her? Why can't I have this? And I start doing all the maths of how much it costs, where can I get this money? And you even start envying someone to an extent of wishing it wasn't them. That can make you a very bitter person, and that can mess up your mind to a level where you get depressed. So if you're going to compare yourself with other people, you are a candidate for depression. There's nothing wrong with admiring what somebody else is doing. but only if you're going to use that to inspire you to work harder, to set better goals for yourself, not so that you become like them, but so that you become better than you are. Because there is nothing as bad as comparison. It's a thief of all joy. But the moment you start knowing that life is personal and you are here as an individual sent here by God for a specific purpose, which is yours, then you stop comparing yourself. You start working towards just making sure that you are moving forward. Because the only worthy comparison is comparison with who you were yesterday, not with who somebody else is. So if you are improving every day, and that's what Born to Lead Academy does, it helps people work on themselves so that they continuously improve to become better than who they were the previous day, the previous year. And when you set your goals at the beginning of the year, the idea should be by the end of that year, when you do evaluation of your journey, there is something you've achieved. Not in comparison with somebody else, but in comparison with where you were when you began the year. That should be the agenda. Now, to fight this depression, you also need to understand that it's never too late to be who you could have been. I'm always encouraged by the story of Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. This is a guy who'd gone through life. He had gotten so discouraged by so many misfortunes, failed marriages, work which was not giving him much. And he had even attempted suicide, I think 3 times or so. But only that time, that was just when he had been retired officially from his job. At the age of 62, and they say he had to his name just $100. $100, even by Kenyan standards, that's about what? Maybe 10,000 shillings?
Yeah, actually, around 9.
That kind of money is not much if you are retired. What are you going to do with it? So that can depress you thinking, after this, then I die.
All is lost.
So he attempted suicide one more time, but even death was not taking it. He didn't want him. So what this guy decided to do after he fell down from, I don't know whether he had tried to hang himself on a tree or whatever, after the failed attempt this time, he asked himself a question that I always tell people, ask yourself this question. What is my life worth? If I die today, what will I have left down here? Because a lot of people get depressed because they are thinking of what they ought to have gotten. But the right question is not what you have gotten. It's not the car you are driving, Phancy. It is not the house you have. It's not this dress. No, these things you can lose even today. The right question to ask is, if I was to go today, what will I have left in this world? The moment you change that question, the moment you start thinking of the contribution you make to this world, life changes. Everything changes. And you start working towards a goal, a purpose that's higher than you. Coming back to Colonel Sanders, he asked himself, surely, after all these 62 years, am I useless? And he said, hata kama kifo hainitaki, sinikumanisha God is not done with me. Because for as long as you're alive, God is not done with you. There's something in you that the world needs. Because nothing exists for itself. And the guy remembered that he had come up with a recipe at some point of making chicken. And once he made that chicken, it was finger-licking goods, as they say. People loved it. So he said, with my $100, I could buy a few chickens. And I could make that thing with I go and get the ingredients, make the recipe, make the chicken, and then go door to door selling. And you know, that's what the guy did. And the chickens flew off whatever it is he had. And within no time, after making the chicken, he had more money than $100. And he started thinking, now if I got more money, I could do more chickens. And he went and borrowed money, I think from his uncle or something. Now you know the story, how it transpired after that. He started the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Today, it's a global brand. He's long dead, but from 62, he lived to the ripe age of 88, and he died a dollar millionaire, a guy who had almost given up. What am I saying? Doesn't matter. The young men who are committing suicide or thinking of doing it, You are 20 something, you are 30 something. You have the whole of your life ahead of you. If a 62-year-old man could turn around his life and do something that continues to impact the world today, long after he's dead, you have no reason to get depressed. You have no reason to want to take your life. God is not done with you.
Wow, absolutely. In fact, I keep on telling my peers, your life can also change. You have to be intentional with your life. It can also change by, the surrounding and what you make it. For instance, I usually say Born to Lead is my turning point of my life. I had done counseling, I had tried to, to figure out things, and sometimes you feel you're just stuck. But I came across, Born to Lead, and I remember I was supposed to join Born to Lead a while. Then, I don't know, I just felt like, again, I'm not ready, I'm not sure whether I want to join. But the minute I joined that course, my goodness, that is where I started feeling like, oh, kumbe, I thought this is the way, and this is the way. So Born to Lead especially will challenge us. It is more of a personal development initiative where you're asked hard questions that you don't want to answer. For instance, when you're talking, I remember you kept on telling us what will be your legacy when you're gone. That's the questions you kept asking us. And it reached a point you told us, kids are not legacy. What you used to do is not what did you do for others, or what can you even point one thing that you can say this is what. And that brought us to our purpose. That helped us to to be able to map our journey. This is my journey. And even when you go back to the Bible, God would really even push people to be able to know. In fact, I remember there's this story of a woman. Even when God wants to bless you, he asks you, what do you have?
In your
Moses,
hands.
I have a stick. There's another woman, I have a small unga. He multiplies what you have. But if you're completely lost, you don't know what you have, you don't know where you are, it is actually very hard even for you to be helped. So I want to encourage we are living in an era where we also don't want to be guided. We don't want to be told. But we can look for spaces like Born to Lead. Personally, I will advocate for everybody listening to Phancy Talk Show to join Born to Lead. It's a course that, makes you know yourself. You feel like it's a rebirth. You are able to know, I am here, I exist. You take those challenges because we are encountering challenges. Tunapotelea, we don't want them. Those hard questions we don't want to ask ourselves. No, those ones are part of our assignments. You have to do them. So I would actually want at this juncture you tell people, when is our next cohort? Because really, that I feel it's a starting point.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you've asked that. And also, I feel humbled for you to give me an opportunity to talk about the Born to Lead program on your show. Because despite the fact that you have been my mentee, I don't have a right to come and say, I want to talk about this. So giving me that opportunity is humbling and it's an honor. But before I even tell them when the next one is, allow me to just say this. Looking at you, this is a testament of somebody who had reached a point in life where they were looking for answers. And when they got those answers and decided that they are going to take a new path which defines them and which allows them to make the kind of impact in this world that God intended for them, nothing stopped them. And look at where you are now. I'm really proud every time I watch your shows. And believe you me, I watch all of them. Allow me also to tell your viewers that Born to Lead did not just happen. It came as a result of the coach here getting to a point as an architect, because I've been an architect for the last 31 years. That's a long time. But 23 years of those, I did nothing else. I just doing architecture. But it got to a point where my life was not making sense. I was feeling hollow, empty, and I was asking God, is this all there is? And when you're feeling hollow and empty in your life, the trouble with that is that you may end up filling that void with vices, with things that are not very beneficial to you, not beneficial to your family, not beneficial to society. And that's how people get into alcohol abuse, drug abuse, promiscuity, all those kind of things. When you see people engaging in those things, they are trying to fill a void. Because when you know what you're supposed to do, you don't even have time for mischief. So anyway, I got into a personal development program myself, which revealed to me very fundamental truths. And one of them is encapsulated by Mark Twain's saying that the two most important days in a man's life are the day he was born and the day he discovers why. That was a light bulb moment for me. And through the program, I discovered that yes, I went to school and studied architecture and have been practicing architecture. But God has a calling on my life to inspire, to train, to make other people believe and manifest their greatness. That is what I'm called to do. The moment I discovered that, the game changed because I went all out. I started Born to Lead, I started writing books, and I can say up to now, we started the program in 2016, July 2nd to be precise. We have graduated over 1,500 students. Wow. And this program is online, so it is global. And we have 2 cohorts that run concurrently every week. We have a Monday and Wednesday class and a Tuesday and Thursday class. It's a 12-week program. For this year already, the 2 cohorts are there, but we'll be starting the new class sometime in February. I'll be giving the dates. Yeah, on my social media platforms, we have Born to Lead Academy Facebook page. We have Stephen Muiru BTL Facebook page. You can check us out there. And even follow me on Instagram. Yeah.
Guys, we are going to tag those pages so that you can as well follow them and get more insights and get more, you get the curiosity and the thirst to join this academy. I think you need also to mention you train corporates.
Yes, the program is not just restricted or confined to the classes. We have spread our tentacles far and wide. So we do a lot of corporate leadership trainings. We also do a lot of talks for institutions, for schools, even for groups who want to be inspired to go to their next level. So we've got a lot that we are doing. I don't know, I hope you're not concluding yet because it's something I wanted to talk about, about this finishing strong. Okay. There are 4 things that are very necessary for anybody who's feeling stuck, for anybody who's feeling like they want to give up. 4 things I always insist on that are going to push you through whatever it is that you're dealing with so that you finish strong. And the number 1 thing is just understanding your why. Why are you doing it? Why do you do it? Once you've understood that, you got to build your character. Everybody who has ever achieved anything worth talking about has had a very strong character. And character is about your resolve to do the right things no matter what. It's about knowing that you have all it takes. It's about having that mood to do the things you said you do, long after that excitement is over. Because sometimes we make decisions. I want to do ABCD. Like now there are a lot of people who are telling me they want to go to Kilimanjaro. But I can assure you, every year we are going to Kilimanjaro. There are people who will say that because they're excited. But when the day comes, they chicken out. Because that mood they were saying 18 is gone. Character is the ability to push through that. Even when the mood is gone, can you still do it? When the rain is beating you, can you still stick to what you promised you will do? So a strong character is important. All the Bible guys who did anything great, one of the things they had in common was character. Number 2 is that you have to have the discipline. You must have the ability to say, whether it's raining, whether it's shining, I am doing it. Follow through on everything. Have that discipline. Because without discipline, you are not going to achieve much. And a lot of people, it's not that they fail, it's just that they don't have the discipline. Like when somebody says, I'm going to lose weight, I want to go to the gym, they go 2-3 days, it's very tiring. So instead of actually losing the weight, they just end up losing the morale to go to that gym. So you can't achieve your goals that way. And thirdly, you have to be ready to sacrifice. and sacrifice is the price that you have to pay. Imagine, like the example I've given of the gym. Going to a gym is not easy. If you have a trainer who is serious, you get to a point where they're telling you to do things that are painful. And the sacrifice is allowing yourself to go through the pain until you're able to go past the threshold of the pain. You don't just go through the pain, you now grow through the pain. And once you're able to withstand a certain level of pain, that means you have grown to that level. So you can now subject yourself to a higher level, and that's how you become a better, greater person. And finally, you have to have the tenacity. Tenacity is that fighting spirit. If you're not willing to fight for your dreams, somebody said, if you're not willing to sacrifice for your dreams will become the sacrifice. So the ability to fight for what you believe, the ability to fight for your goals is what makes you go beyond other people. Because not everybody is willing to go to that level of pain, to that level of sacrifice, to that level of fight. I was reading a story of two dogs that were fighting. There was a big one and a small one. They were in the same neighborhood. So the small one was a kamchokozi. It would always come and bite this big one. And then the big one would just, initially ignore. Then eventually it retaliates a bit. The small one would run away. Then the next day it would come. It became so consistent in fighting this big one. And the big one was not even fighting back per se. And eventually the bite marks became so decapacitating or incapacitating to the big dog that it actually had to run away to avoid this small one. And that story just teaches us it's never really about the size of the dog in a fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. So it's the same thing with life. It's not about the challenges you're facing. They may be big, like mountains. But if your fight is bigger, you're going to overcome them. That's why I like going to the mountains. Because in the mountains, you'll be stretched in every way. And I tell people, mountains are the best metaphors for life. Because it's about challenges. In life, you're either going through a relationship mountain, a financial mountain, a work-related mountain. They are all manner of mountains. A health mountain. But if you are able to go and subject yourself to the torture of a physical mountain, when you come back, you realize even these mountains of life, you can do them. You can overcome them.
Wow. After, feeling you are stuck and now, you feel now after this show, because after they watch this show, I'm sure the attitude's gonna change and they'll be like, we need to fight this. Maybe you can tell our viewers, how do you again now come back to setting realistic goals? Because I believe one of the things that also make us get stuck and we feel like by the time we are finishing, we didn't achieve what we want, to set goals that are not reasonable to ourselves. How can you guide us in setting a reasonable and smart goals?
Fantastic question again. In life, if you feel you're not achieving whatever it is you set out to achieve, one of the things you have to do is reflect on that journey since you started up to where you are. And when you're doing reflection, the idea is that you want to evaluate maybe the circumstances, the conditions, everything. You want to do an evaluation. Somebody once said that a life that is not evaluated is not worth living. So it's always good to pause in life, to ask yourself questions like, why am I where I am? Where did the rain start beating me? What did I miss? That will help you to go back, reset, recalibrate, and start asking yourself, going forward, what can I do different? Maybe you're failing because, one, as you've said, the goals you set were way beyond what you are capable of doing at that moment. And that means you need to grow your capacity. There are goals you can set, but you don't have the capacity. Not that you can't achieve them. You can eventually, but maybe within the time frame you've given yourself, it's not possible. So what do you need to do? Increase your capacity. Work on your skill set. Maybe even increase your resource mobilization abilities, maybe also create networks that can help you, because in this world we all need networks. So work on your capacity, because the higher your capacity, the more you are able to do, isn't it? Then you can reset the goals, because now you have the capacity. Look at your timelines. Be reasonable when you set timelines. It's like if you go to a gym, you are overweight, and you are told you need to lose 10 kgs. Surely you can't say you lose them by tomorrow. That is unreasonable. It's not realistic. So you need to work with the trainers. You need to understand your body, and you need to know, what am I going to be doing routinely? What do I need to change? Maybe it's your diet, maybe it's your sleep patterns. You need to understand all those dynamics. And that is what I'm calling a reset. So go back to the drawing board, have a nice plan, map out that path, be very realistic, use special, or I would say maybe experts or consultants, if you need be a coach, a trainer. Use people who understand these things. Unfortunately, so many people ni mkonogamu. Hataki kutoa hata kitu kidogo wasaidiwe. And yet help is always at hand, isn't it?
In fact, that was my next question to you. We don't want to invest, because free things, honestly, are no longer there. And if you get them, they may even be substandard. You need somebody who's taking time to analyze you, to guide you, to coach you. I remember Born to Lead. We were paying 40,000, right? And if that will make you feel it's too much, you feel it's too much, you want to, then you will remain in that cocoon. But then when you invest and you get somebody to guide you, somebody who's giving you assignments, and for a moment you made me feel like I'm back in school, ile nitachapa nikikosa kufanya homework, because you were very strict on these assignments.
Yes.
And we are all adults, but you will see, even in us, we have fear, even the fear of, did I deliver? And imagine you are your own assignment. Ni wewe unaambiwa ufanye assignment.
You are the subject of
You are
study.
the subject of study, but you realize how much you don't know yourself. So I think also the aspect of us not wanting to invest is also another challenge. And sometimes, I know even in Born to Lead, sometimes you slash if you really see somebody who's really willing to take the course, and they're not, okay, I'm not advocating in on the side now, I be a serious, but I know we have had, you've actually sponsored some people because you can see the will. But then again, what is your effort towards that? So that is very paramount to mention.
It is important, because if you're not willing to invest, then you're also not willing, or you're not ready to get the returns, because investments always should be pegged on what we call ROI, return on investment. Every investment, you must have a target. And investing in yourself, in my view, is the greatest investment you can ever do. You know why? Because you are your greatest asset. And somebody said, if you borrow money to invest in education, and especially self-education, that's the only one you are guaranteed. The banks or whoever gave you the money cannot auction. Nobody can come and auction you. If you buy a building like this, they can auction. But the education you have,
they cannot take it away.
They can't take it away.
Yeah.
So why not just invest in education, which is going then to help you do many other things? Can I shock you? When I went through my personal development program, and actually I paid 30,000, while I was still a student before we graduated, the trainer noticed something in me. And there was a job he was given which he could not go for because he was engaged elsewhere. And he sent me. And I went and got paid 80,000 to go and speak in a function where my coach was supposed to go. Now imagine this. You are still a student. You have been given an engagement, an opportunity to go and speak. And you've been coached by this guy to speak well. And you've been paid almost 3 times what you paid. What's my point? When you come through our academy, one of the things we train you is public speaking and presentation. And I always tell people that helps you to turn your voice into an invoice. It gives you an extra source of income. So the program is not just for you to come and pay that money, get a certificate. It's to also help you see the many opportunities that abound that you can utilize to even increase your earning ability, like your voice. So it's not a waste. There is serious return on investment. Today I know my newfound calling gives me much more than architecture in terms of money. So knowing yourself will help you discover all the hidden talents, gifts that you have, which you can use. Even when the economy is bad like it is now, you still make your money because you are not even confined to your locality. You become a global citizen. You can be doing training to people in Asia, in USA, in wherever, and you're earning your money while you're sitting in the comfort of your house.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. As we wind up the show, would you tell us now, our viewers, how will they, I know you've encouraged us before to, to do a lot of journaling, to write down our emotions, write down whatever you feel, map your journey. But what are those insights you can give us that have worked for you personally in being where you are? Because somebody will be wondering, why would you leave an architect job to come and do this? They will not understand. So just give us a few secrets that have worked for you.
Another good question, Phancy. I love quotes and stories. And I'll answer that by giving a quote by Albert Einstein, when he said that everyone is a genius, but if you are to judge the genius of a fish by its ability to climb a tree, that fish will live its entire life believing it's very stupid. And a lot of people are feeling stuck, feeling like they are useless simply because they are behaving like a fish trying to climb a tree. The greatest secret of life is to first of all find out, what are you naturally good at? What are those things that God has put in you, which don't even require you to go to school? You don't go to school to discover gifts. Gifts are in you. God put them in us, and they are from cradle to grave. And God does not revoke what he has given you. So in fact, we let God down when we live in this world and die without discovering our gifts. Somebody said that every human being has a minimum of 550 gifts. But the tragedy is most people live and die without ever discovering and exploiting even one fully. That's a tragedy. You know what Dr. Miles Monroe also said? The richest place on earth is a graveyard, is a cemetery. Because there are many people who died and are buried there with all their gifts which they never gave to this world. So secret number one to anything you want to achieve in this world, in fact to your greatness, is to know what are your special gifts. Now for me, I went to do architecture because I was an A student in school, and students who get those very high grades will be told by society, you're supposed to be a doctor, you're supposed to be an engineer, you're supposed to be a lawyer, you're supposed to be an architect. And there's nothing wrong with being those things. But if deep down your calling is in a different direction, if you go to those careers, you'll end up being a frustrated person. So discovering my special gift of inspiring people, my special gift of speaking to people in a way that they can pay attention, that they can feel elevated, edified, that gift has changed not only my life, but the lives of so many. And I don't struggle. When you call me for a show like this, I'm not coming here with notes. We're having a conversation that I'm sure is flowing. Why? Because I'm in my natural flow state. I'm using my natural ability. I'm using my gift. So discover your gift, guys. Your gift, the Bible says, will take you before kings. It will open doors that even your academic papers cannot. That's one. Once you discover your gift, the next thing you must do is hone that gift, polish it. You know, gold, you will discover it somewhere, but to get to the real gold, you dig out a lot of dirt. And then you get it, you still have to take it through a process which also includes or involves a lot of fire for it to be fine gold. So you need to work on it. Pay the price. Get now skilled. Your gift, it comes in a raw form, but you can now go to programs that help you harness it, that help you bring it out better, that helps people even start seeing it. Then after that, you need to package it. And packaging is about branding. Yeah, personal branding. You need to create a story around your gift so that when people listen to it, it's inspiring. It's a story they want to also talk about. It's a story that attracts you to them and them to you, because your personal brand is your magnet, is your life magnet. You are a living magnet. Come up with a good name, like Phancy Show, that's a good name. Born to Lead, it's a good name. There are many good names. Just make sure you package yourself and call yourself something that inspires people, something that makes people want to associate. Then that character I was talking about. If you want your brand to grow, be a person of integrity. Let what you say be what you give. Don't be a double speak kind of a person. Don't promise things that you can't deliver. Don't tell people things that eventually they will discover are not true. You don't want to be called a liar by people. Your personal brand will suffer. So be honest, be truthful, be believable. Always make sure you deliver. Because if your personal brand is good, the world will buy you. Because the world doesn't buy what you do. They buy you. And if they buy you, you're good. Make sure you have a good reputation. I always tell people your reputation is your rep. The reason everyone pays. And you know people pay you in 3 currencies. They pay you attention. If you're consistent enough, they pay you the next currency, which is respect. When people respect you, they'll definitely pay you the money. And you need it. So discover yourself, polish yourself, brand yourself, market yourself. There's no other secret. And be humble. And always know whatever you do is for God's glory, not yours. The moment you start thinking it's about you, you lose it. It's about God.
Wow, thank you very much, Coach, for letting us sit under your wisdom, for the, for the wise words, you've guided us. Actually, this is a whole session from Born to Lead that we've just brought you. So you need to be more curious and ask yourself, what are those other things that have not been mentioned? So we are very grateful. This is our last show, actually, 2024. Wow. We are closing. I just knew I had to close with you. We had to close in style. And I hope this show has given you, a good, some psych to start off 2025. So till next time, guys, we love you. And please continue subscribing, watch, like, and share. Bye-bye and Merry Christmas. But before we go, we have something for you. A daughter can go to the father, just like that. So we have this. I know you are a lover of suits. So this is something to complement your suits.
Thank you.
And you look very, very... We have our Oga today in studio. Yeah, so...
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm honored.